list of issues that we thought were important for them to address for the town and for the public. And for school committee, we sent them a list of 6 issues, and they were the space crisis in the schools, both elementary, middle school, and high school, school department budget, user fees, good, bad, and ugly, contract negotiation with the school department employees, MCAS, and evaluation of current leadership, or how things might change if you were to join the school committee. And those profiles are available both here if you were to come in the next 30 minutes, and on our website at www.cacnr.org. We have all the candidates who have submitted those profiles are up there. There are 4 candidates for school committee. Peter Papafasulio had pulled papers but has removed himself from the ballot, so only 4. And Mr. Stephen Schuler declined the invitation to come and speak with us today. And as a disclaimer, or as a piece of information, one of his reasons for doing that was that we as a group, Citizens Action Committee, had come out and endorsed the Swan Pond ballot issue, which is in fact true. We do support Swan Pond as a solution for the elementary schools. However, while that is something we do endorse, when it comes to school committee, there's more than just the issue of elementary school space in a new school. And so we are, and as you will see, we are addressing many issues with the school committee candidates. We as a group are about many things, and the mission statement that we have is to provide an open forum such as this for the public to address and present town concerns, town issues, to introduce and support those concerns and a resolution to those concerns. And as a primary mission, to advocate and promote ongoing community involvement. And that's community involvement in a forum like this. That's community involvement at town meeting, at the ballot box, and also with individual committees. Not in joining those committees necessarily, although we encourage everyone to do that, but in going to those committee meetings and letting those folks know you support, don't support, issues that you have problems with, things that you are concerned about. They only know that when you talk to them. And that's what this group is all about. C.A.C. is about getting that information out. This event is live currently, obviously, but we also have it on tape, and you can see this again Sundays and Tuesdays at 8 p.m. until the election, and Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. So if you missed someone, you missed this morning's Board of Selectmen candidates, you can watch them at those times, taped or otherwise. Also, there is another event where you can meet the Candidates Night held by the League of Women Voters, and that will be on April 24th at 7:30 p.m. They have changed the place. Normally they have it in this room here in the Selectmen's room. They will be having that in the large group room in the middle school, primarily because we will be pushing for a lot of people to be going and meeting the candidates. And that's not just the Board of Selectmen and school committee candidates, but all of the candidates who are running, especially in the uncontested races. And with that, I'm going to turn it over. Ms. Maureen Vacca is here, and she will start with her opening statement, and then we'll have Q&A.
First, I'd like to introduce myself and my family. My name is Maureen. My husband and I have lived here in town for 14 years. My husband, Jim, is active in town with the youth. He is a Little League coach, a hockey coach, and he's an assistant coach with the basketball. We have a daughter, Jessica, who's in the 11th grade at the high school, a son, Michael, who's in the 7th grade at the middle school, and my son, Eric, who's a 3rd grader at the bachelor school. I first came involved in North Reading in the school system when my daughter was in the 1st grade. Some of you will recall that was the year that the little school closed, that the athletic department implemented athletic user fees, and the town moved to trash sticker fees. That was a difficult time for North Reading financially, and the town came together and sought new ways to provide services to the citizens within the available revenues. At that time, when the little school closed, classroom sizes at the Bachelor and the Hood School obviously increased, and at the Bachelor, it was actually devastating. The classroom sizes increased, but the square footage of the rooms did not. The children were moved into substandard space. They lost an art room and a music room, And the classrooms were so crowded that the children spread out into the hallways. That was the point when I got involved in North Reading and was looking for a better way to provide education for our students and at the same time keep our investment in our capital assets from deteriorating and costing the operating budget so much money in maintenance. In that year, I was appointed to the Finance Committee. I served 6 years on the Finance Committee, the last 2 years as chairman. During my time on the Finance Committee, a group was formed called the Space Study Committee, and it was made up of members similar to the way FUMP is in the current time, of representatives from each of the town boards. We spent about 2 years studying all the buildings in towns and all the needs for all the various groups, and we tried to put together a projection of what the town would need for space and what it should be looking at for capital projects down the road. And in 1993, the Space Study Committee actually warned the town that the police station needed capital investment and it needed expansion, and that the Batchelder School needed some repairs, some very expensive investment, and that it was running short on space. So it comes as no surprise to me that today we're still facing the same crisis, but the same solutions are still being offered to the town. And that's because over the years, many, many people have been involved in different committees, and we've come to the same conclusion. I think it's important that the town maintain the buildings. It's our capital investments, they're our assets, and it's financially foolish not to look at them from that standpoint. Over the years on the Finance Committee, I became knowledgeable on town budgeting. The efforts of the Finance Committee over that time provided a new roof for the middle school school building and new windows at the Batchelder building, and we continued to address the enrollment issues in the school department by providing funding. And during that time, several town contracts were bargained with police and fire unions, which have been successful. 6 years ago, there was an opportunity for me to run for the school committee, and I saw it as an opportunity for change. At that time, the Education Reform Act was being put into place in the town of North Reading. At that time, we had a new superintendent, so we had some new leadership, and so I sought election to the school board, mainly to assist with the education reform mandates and the budgeting, how to implement those through a budget process, and to keep alive the issues at the Batchelder School and our other capital buildings in town. Since I've been on the school committee, a lot of work has been done, but by no means would I take that credit. I have had the privilege of working with dynamic school committee members, and even though the membership has changed, the committee has always been able to work effectively amongst each other, and that, I think, is the strongest point of the school committee. We have a superintendent who I feel demonstrates excellent leadership skills and has brought North Reading school system through the first 7 years of an education reform. And we have a staff in our school system that is caring and professional. And because we've all come together to address the issues and to keep our long-term goal in mind, that we've been effective in the school system in town.
Thank you. All right, well, I'll open with a question. And the question is, and it's been asked by many people in different formats, the question of a space, is there a space crisis? In other words, why is it called a space crisis? In the past, the town has had upwards of 1,000 more students than it currently has in the system now, with schools that were smaller. While there may have been 4 elementary schools, for example, they were smaller than the schools we have now. So why is it that with fewer students, we have a space crisis in town now?
Well, it's not fair to go back and say, when I was a kid, this is how we did it and we fit. First of all, we've got more students with various needs that are included in a classroom. So in order to address all the needs of all students, you need to have a manageable size classroom. So whereas when I went to school, 35 children in a classroom was acceptable, today 25 is a better target. Secondly, the programs that are mandated by the state and that we want for our children. It's not just that we're being forced. For art, you don't have it in the classroom. You have it in a separate classroom that may have area for drying of artwork or for working with clay and molds. And music classrooms aren't just where children sit in their classroom. They're moved out into a separate room where there are instruments introduced to the music class. Foreign languages, we should be moving towards labs where students just don't read a foreign language but actually hear it. Labs, we should increase the number of labs for science purposes as well as for math. In the elementary school, they actually use math manipulatives. These all need shelving space and space to actually spread out and do the work. Our space crisis in town is made up of several issues. It's program, it's enrollment, and it's the limitations of small rooms that exist in some of our buildings.
Okay, thank you. Second question, and then we're going to get an email. Technology in the classroom is something that a lot of people speak to and something that the state has put together some fairly specific requirements on. Fortunately, it costs a lot of money to put technology in the classroom, and so it's a two-part question. The first part is, in putting that technology in the classroom, are we sacrificing other budget needs that we may have by allotting that money? That's the first part. And the second is, if we're putting that technology in the classroom, how is it being integrated into the curriculum? In other words, 5 PCs in a room don't necessarily improve the education of the students in that room if teachers aren't using it. So how is that happening? And how would you as a school committee member see that happening over the next 3 years?
Well, the most important aspect of technology in the classroom is through our technology department, which unfortunately, because of budget crisis, is the first area that we cut back in. But it's important for the staff through their professional development programs to take courses that teach them how to use technology as a tool. How do you teach math through a program? And how do you teach science through a program? But it is only another tool. So what we need to do is to keep the professional development programs, and we need to keep a level of staffing where they are familiar with the networking, the technology, and the maintenance of the system, because that's the biggest difficulty, is keeping our equipment maintained and in running order. And as far as the pieces of the budget that it eats up, we have to remember technology in the classroom is not yet another program we offer. It's actually incorporated into each one of the subject matters that exist. So to eliminate technology eliminates one aspect of teaching a science or of teaching a math or bringing history alive in a classroom. And we can curtail that, but to cut it out totally would not be fair to the students in North Reading. One way at the Hood School through the renovation project, we've been allowed to afford some of the new technology was with this wireless technology, which brings the airport into the classroom, and without having everything hardwired into the wall, kids can connect in. That's actually a cheaper way of doing it. Unfortunately, at the little school and the Hood School, they will have that capability. We don't have it at the Bachelor School, so there would be a disadvantage to the depth and degree of a subject matter.
Thank you. Amy, do you have an email question?
How do you propose the members of the school committee improve the relationship with the Board of Selectmen? In other words, what steps can be taken from the school committee in order to improve that relationship?
I think that the relationship that we have with the selectmen represents how different factions in town feel about certain issues. So when you see a tug-of-war going back and forth, that's healthy. That's representing groups of people and their opinions. But what we can take pride in is that ultimately the selectmen and the school committee might have their push and shove matches, but always the leadership through the chairmans has been able to keep the groups focused. And I think that the key is in the chairman, and I think the key is in the personality of the individuals and to what point they're willing to compromise and if they're willing to listen. But I don't think that on a professional level there is anything else that can be done. I think that